chronology of historical dates and events. One who knows history will work for bringing about a revolution in national society. We must become rulers of our own country and must rule over the Bharatvarsh. Become of a ruler of your own country and your problems will be solved. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. If you want to destroy a society, destroy its history, and the society will get destroyed automatically. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Why should one become a ruler? To look after interests of one's society, to change the pattern of rule, because political power is the master key with which you can open any lock, whether it is social, economic, educational or cultural lock. How one becomes a ruler? The society which forgets its own history never become a ruler, because history gives an inspiration. Inspiration creates an awareness. Awareness generates ideas. Ideas give rise to power. Power builds strength, and by strength one becomes a ruler. Kumari Mayavadi. 7000 to 3300 BC. Chera kings ruled southern India. Sri Veeraraya Kerala Chakravarti or Chera Marven Dribhuvana Chakravarti Kulasekara Perumal Mandya king Konga Rajakal. The Konga and the Chera are not one, has been maintained by Revered Mr. Taylor in his addendum to the translation of the Konga Desa Rajakal Kambar, a Tamil poet who attached to the court of Chola 7th century and who wrote Kamba Ramayan, describes Chera kingdom which lies between Pulani, Tenkasi, Calicut and the sea extending over an area of 800 miles. The Chera, Chola, Pallava and Pandya dynasties are the four Tamil dynasties who ruled South India till 1500 of Christian era. 3300 to 1700 BC, early Pandya kings ruled southern India, including Madurai district of Tamil Nadu. The later Pandyas 1150 to 1350 entered their golden age under the Maravarman Sundara Pandyan and Jadavarman Sundara Pandyan, Christian era 1250, who expanded the empire into Telugu country, conquered Kalinga, Orissa and invaded and conquered Sri Lanka. Pandyan was well known since ancient period, with the contacts, even diplomatic, reaching the Roman Empire during 1300 of the Christian era. Marco Polo mentioned in it as the richest kingdom in existence. They controlled the pearl fisheries along the southern Indian coast between Sri Lanka and India. They and Cheras, Cholas and Satyaputras are mentioned in the Pillars of Ashoka, inscribed 273 to 232 BCE as recipients of his Buddhist proselytism. The conquest by Dharma has been won here on the borders and even 600 yojanas, 5,400 to 9,600 kilometers away, where the Greek king Antiochus rules. Beyond there, the four kings named Ptolemy, Antigonus, Magas, and Alexander. Also, the Pandyas, along with the Cheras and the Cholas, find mention as one of the three king ruling dynasties of the southern region of the then Bharatvarsh in the very ancient Hindu epic of the Ramayana. They are also mentioned in the Aitreya Aranyaka and the Mahabharata, where they are, along with the Cheras and the Cholas, believed to have been on the side of the Pandavas in the Great War. 3000 BC, Egyptians claim their civilization to be older than 3000 years BC, although there is a difference between the records of India and the records of other nations of the world. 2400 BC, Chinese claim their civilization to be beyond 2400 years BC. Ancient history of mankind based on an old Aryan language preserved in India, namely Sanskrit. Dayaush Pita, Heavenly Father, that is Greek. Je Shadi, she is Pater, that is Latin. Jupiter, that is Old Norse. Try forms one of the most brilliant chapters in the history of the advancement of human knowledge. 2000 to 1400 BC, period of Aryan settlement in Punjab. See Hymna of Rigveda, first epoch. It describes Aryans as conquerors and settlers on the banks of Indus River and its 5 branches, and India beyond Sutlej was almost unknown to the Aryans. The Aryans came as a conquering race, self-assertion and vigor of a young national life with a strong love of action and capacity for active enjoyments. The Aryans were separated from passive but honest Swabhiman, Swalamban and Atmanirbhar aborigines, Mool Nivasi, sons of the soil, who vainly struggled to work hard to maintain their own against invincible conquerors. They rejoiced with wealth, cattle, pastoral fields. This Vedic period was full of wars and conquest against aborigines, and the Aryan victors triumphantly boast of their conquests in their hymns, implore their gods to bestow on them wealth and new possessions, and to destroy barbarians. Whatever was bright and cheerful and glorious in the aspects of nature struck the Aryans with admiration and gladness, and such manifestations of nature were worshipped and invoked as gods. The entire body of Aryans was united, and the only distinction of caste then was between the Aryans and the aborigines. Even the distinction between professions was not very marked, and sturdy, lord of many acres, who ploughed his fields and came to own large herds in time of peace, went out to defend his village or plunder the aborigines in time of war, and often composed spirited hymns to the martial god Indri in his hours of devotion. There were no temples and no idols. Chiefs of tribes were kings and had their priests to perform sacrifices and utter hymns for them, but the people were free. There was no priestly caste and no royal caste, enjoying the freedom which belongs to vigorous pastoral and tribes. It is claimed in the Sanskrit text, English translation and notes of Rigveda Samhita by H. H. Wilson and Bhashya of Sayanacharya, and edited and revised with an exhaustive introduction and notes by Ravi Prakash Arya, K. L. Joshi, that Rigveda is about 9,000 years old. 1700 to 1300 BC, Pallavas kings ruled South India. 1400 to 1000 BC, Aryans crossed Indus River and poured down to Ganges Valley. During this period, the people submitted themselves under the Brahmins and Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas submitted themselves to the Brahmins. In the Gangetic Valley, the renowned and famous kingdoms flourished. Among us, the nations were the Kurus, Delhi, the Panchalas, the Kosalas, etc. The internecine wars during Kurus and Panchalas gave birth to Mahabharata war, which is indicated of their rude, sturdy vigor, warlike jealousies, hatred which characterized the early conquerors of the Gangetic Valley. During this period, new forms of religion and civilization from those of Vedic period were developed. Wealth of non-Aryan tribes during epic period, sacrificial rites and legends of Brahmanas, gifted Aryan people separated by circumstances from outside world, worked out their civilization among us natural and climatic conditions which were peculiarly favorable. Their intellectual discoveries, age after age, religious progress and developments through successive centuries. Their political career, as they gradually expanded over India, found new kingdoms and dynasties. Their struggles against priestly domination, their successes and failures, their great social and religious revolutions, and their far-reaching consequences. The Aryans did not, however, seem to live many centuries in the soft climate of the Gangetic Valley before losing their vigor and manliness as they gained in learning and civilization. The Kosalas too were a polished nation, but the traditions of that nation preserved in the second national epic of India, Ramayana, which shows more devotion to social and domestic duties, obedience to priests, and regard for religious forms than the sturdy valor and the fiery jealousies of the Mahabharata.